Oh, good morning. Welcome on in. It's down and dirty. We've got Mitchell here on ESPN 7. And proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio. And proud to be here with you today. Man, I get so excited about the show. Here's the thing that I do and I like to do is I just like to peruse. I'm a peruser of sports information. I just look at all the there. You can find sports information just all over the place. So, I look at on all the sites. I look at I watch. I pay attention, and I look for the things that I like to get down and dirty with. I really do, and so I really I love this. I can't wait to get on the show every day and be a part of your life. So thank you for tuning in, and I really appreciate. It's fun to go out. It was the Utah game last weekend, and ran into several people who listened to the show and I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I really do. It means a lot to me. So I try to do a good job. Okay, this is a fun day. Now, of course, it's our Sabbath of Sports Day. It's our day of rest from all sports, football, all the sports that matter, football. And we have those. Some people who will go to the store on Sunday and those are basketball sports. Those are your hockey and some of those other things. Um, it's kind of weird. I'm a little bit melancholy that there's no more baseball. I thought, wow, baseball been very very good to me, and now it's not. It's kind of over. What is happening though soon, and it's really starting to become a little bit frenzied, a little like we're building for some drama here locally. And really our local story is the national story. And this is the whole thing that I have been screaming about for years. And what it means to have two teams in power four football in the same conference, even though we don't like each other. And even if we're trying to figure out, do we cheer for the other team? Do we not cheer for the other team? How do we coexist? I believe I firmly believe this in my soul that when you have a rival, it raises all tides. You do not want your rival to get the best of you. And if you don't believe me, just go on all the message boards, go to any story that has an interconnection between BYU and Utah. And here's the shocker, it doesn't have to be football. It's basketball, it's baseball, it's soccer, volleyball. It's all those sports that are intertwined, male and female, between Utah and BYU. It's a rivalry. And it's all of a sudden getting national attention. This isn't your region. And this is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And this is what we want. And it doesn't matter what side of this you're on. But it does matter this, that you're going to get your butt whooped every once in a while. And you got to not be okay with it in the sense that I better do something about it. Because that's really what makes it really big. That's what gets everyone's attention. And quite frankly, people, we have the potential of having the best rivalry in all of maybe sports if we do this right. We're at the beginning of this because BYU wandered off in the wilderness for a while, and Utah was in the Pac-12, which is By the way, I believe Oregon State is the top team in the Pac-12 right now. Gives you an idea of where the Pac-12 is. They were both Mountain West teams. No offense to the Mountain, but it's not Power Four football. We're the conversation now. We are the conversation now. And that's just a beautiful thing. It is such a beautiful thing. Now we have to figure out, what does that conversation look like? And there are legitimate scenarios that put Utah and BYU in the college football playoffs. There's also scenarios that put Utah in the college football playoffs and not BYU. So there are some crazy things going on. I'm going to try to. I don't want to complicate this. I don't want to do math on the air, but I want to run through just a couple of scenarios where um so so where Utah actually ends up in the Big 12 championship game. Okay. Number one, and this is extremely important, has to happen above anything else. Utah has to win out. Okay. You can't lose again. I know that's Captain Obvious, but you've had a couple of really nice games. You're going on the road. You got a bye week right now. To a Baylor team that's okay. You know, you should win this game. You're going to get Kansas State at home. You should win that game, and you're going to go to Kansas, and you should win that game. You should win all of these games. You should win these games. Okay. You got a team that's kind of playing with some juice. They got some energy. They got some excitement, and they're playing well everywhere. Offense, defense, special teams. And that makes you really dangerous. And it makes you dangerous from the standpoint of you can find production everywhere. And that's a hard out. You know, if you're one dimensional, one trick pony team, it's a different story. And Utah has shown there's more there. So they're really rounding into a very nice spot right now. I don't know that you want to play Utah right now if you're in the conference. Okay, so that's the number one thing that has to happen. Now, number two, BYU has to lose to Texas Tech and Cincinnati. Now, Utah fans, I know, yes. So it is a real scenario that BYU loses to both of those teams. BYU plays at Texas Tech. They're, I think, a 9. What are the odds on this game? What isn't it like 9.5, Martin? Do we know what that is? When you find it out, let me know. Anyways, so BYU has to go to Texas Tech, and they have to play Cincinnati. Very, very, very possible opportunities. And the thing for BYU is they got to play the next 4 weeks. So there's no more bye for them. There's no more respite. They are so they got 4 weeks to go. And they were in a bye this week, so they're in good shape too. But tough games. Probably the toughest schedule finishing out the season of any of the teams that are hopeful. Okay. Cincinnati has to lose to Texas Christian or Arizona, and ASU wins out or loses to Arizona. So it's possible. That's a scenario. There are other scenarios, but that's a likely scenario, and that actually could put Utah. Now, if BYU wins out, then Texas Tech needs to. Let's see, if BYU wins against Texas Tech and Cincinnati, Utah also gets in. And then Utah and BYU are a match. So I hope I haven't overly complicated that, but that's kind of the scenario. Now here's something else to consider. The playoffs are going to start on the 19th and 20th of December. So more than likely, if Utah gets in, they're an early round team that's going to play probably on the road. And supposedly a fringe team, right? And so they're going to play a team, and I like this scenario, quite frankly, because it's going to be a team that is in an overinflated league. And the question is, because look at the conferences, okay, and just tell me how any of these conferences are different from one another, okay? So you have the Big Ten, Who's in the Big Ten? You've got you have 3 teams. 3 teams, that's it. Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. Those 3 teams right there. Tell me the rest of the conference. Maybe USC's playing better? I mean, maybe. But are they, there's no other team in the Big Ten. So then you go to the ACC. Tell me who the team is in the ACC. I mean, right now it's basically Virginia Tech, maybe, and all the other schools. Miami now, no. Georgia Tech, no. I mean, those were the other schools that were halfway decent. And think of Georgia Tech a couple of years ago, where they were just like fodder. And where's Clemson? Where is anyone? Where's North Carolina? Where is Florida State? They're in negotiation with Coach Prime. So no, I mean the the ACC is a disaster. And maybe you throw Notre Dame in there. And who's Notre Dame? Sorry, Martin, but really, they haven't played anyone. They haven't played anyone and beat them. They've played teams that are good, like Miami and Texas A&M, and lost to those teams. Notre Dame's a reputation. The Big Ten is a reputation. I mean, Ohio State, yes, is good. Indiana, yeah, they're good. Oregon, yeah, they're good. They're probably not as good as they were a year ago. So then you get to the ace, get to the SEC. Like, who is the best team in the SEC? And is it Alabama? Is it Alabama and Georgia? But then everyone, or is it Texas A&M? It's Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. And then they want to throw in Ole Miss, but Ole Miss misses playing people. They don't ever play anyone. And it's all Lane Kiffin. And they're not that good. I don't know that Georgia and Alabama are that good. So tell me how that's different than the Big 12. Like what about these conferences is different? Because in the Big 12 right now, you have BYU, you have Texas Tech, but you also have Cincinnati, you have Utah. And now maybe your Texas or your Houston team is like an Ole Miss team, or maybe Cincinnati is the Ole Miss team, but it's not different. It's the same. And now all of a sudden, on a very important 2 weeks in college football, ESPN has shown up in 2 Big 12 schools. Utah? I mean, I guarantee you nobody, myself included, at the beginning of the year said, "Oh, game day is going to show up at Utah for the Cincinnati game." I mean, that's on the calendar to mark it as golden. No. Now that there might have been another game. I mean, Utah's been a part of 3 national, big noon ESPN game day games this year, as much as anyone. And why in the freak are we getting disrespected? Now, I'm not talking about Utah. I'm talking about the conference. Because if you think about this conference, at the beginning of the year, it was Arizona State and it was Iowa State. And maybe Texas Tech had an inkling, but it wasn't BYU, it wasn't Utah, certainly wasn't Cincinnati. People were, maybe Kansas State, watch out for them. Kansas could be good this year. That doesn't matter to me as much, but the polls matter to me, and it absolutely drives me insane. And what I cannot stand, and this is what we're faced with now because of polls and perception. Utah's played 2 late games, their best games of the year, really showcasing probably what they are as a team and what they've evolved into as a team. And I think it's something that should be considered by the pollsters in general, because and here's what I mean. What I felt and what I've watched is when you have so many new guys on a team, It can go one of 2 directions. It can go really south like Colorado, where they just didn't gel. They just didn't come together. Maybe there's too many players. I think that's the problem with Coach Prime, is he doesn't have a foundation. Like, there's no foundation of any it's just it's reload every year. And you reload with, 19, 20-year-old young men. None of them have really bought into your culture. They bought into your paycheck. They bought into your persona, but they haven't really Colorado football doesn't mean that much to them. There are people in the Utah culture, the BYU culture, those players, it really means something to them. Keanu Tunavasa, take it for whatever you want. He went and bought into the BYU culture. Uh, Take it for what you want. John Henry Daly came in and bought in the Utah culture, but they bought into it. And so you supplement that with, half your team this year is new. I mean, all these guys on offense, Devin Dampier, Wayshawn Parker, Ryan Davis, JJ Buchanan, Daniel Bray, were not here a year ago. So they're the new guys. But guess what? That whole offensive line was. And there's a core foundation. And you supplement that with the NIL, which is going to continue to happen every year. It's going to take time for that to really gel. And you're starting to see Utah. Okay, now we kind of know who they are. And for that reason, and I think everyone has to deal with it now. I think it's why you don't see the SEC as dominant as it was, because they don't have the depth that they had. Now they're going to attract players; they're still going to get them, but they're also going to have to go out and the NIL, and they're going to lose guys. They're going to lose part of their culture. They're going to lose part of their culture to places like Georgia Tech, Texas Tech, Utah, any of these schools that are, maybe not top tier programs, but they're getting these players. So why in the heck are we having any poll before right now? And everyone goes, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, tomorrow the polls are going to come out, and they're probably going to mirror and reflect um, what the polls have been now. And so the shocking part of it, I don't know that the high end of the polls will be shocking at all. It's going to be Indiana. It's going to be Ohio State. It's going to be Texas A&M. Those schools are going to be up there. You're just going to have Alabama up there because it's just Alabama. But it's that 9 through 12. So and there's going to be a two-loss conversation in there. It's a Georgia Tech conversation. It's a Miami conversation. It's a Utah conversation. And who of all of those teams really is the better team? And the problem is Utah having its very best games start at 10 o'clock at night, really 10:30 at night, because they've been late kicks later than they were scheduled. So who gets in? Who gets the attention? And no one really knows. I think one of the first polls of the year, 50% or 50 people were left off of the ballot. They didn't even for Utah wasn't even on the ballot. They didn't even have them on. They didn't even watch them. And all of this is perception every year. And you have Paul Feinbaum, bless his heart. He's on the national. Why is there not someone from the Big 12 on the national stage having a conversation every single week about the Big 12? Why isn't there? Because the perception is, well, it's just not very good. And yeah, we don't have that blue blood in the conference. We don't have we don't have Texas. And it's like, do you want Texas? Do you want Oklahoma right now? I mean, the name great, but I don't know that they would be the best teams in the Big 12 right now. Sure, make an awesome conference. Texas A&M, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas in the conference. Yeah, it would be pretty nice. But regardless, you have a conference that's massively underappreciated this year. And the point is you don't know from year to year. No one knows from they basically go, "Yeah, let's see who returning there's like a formula, and the formula is based on stars. Like, who did they get? The problem with stars is the stars don't always align. There's a lot of players you could go through and go, Utah knows this better than anyone. We turned no stars in. Dalton Kincaid, who scored a nice touchdown on Monday Night Football, was a 0-star recruit. Was not he was nobody. Nobody. Cole Bishop was a 3-star guy, and he's in the so don't give me stars. And you'll hear Coach Whittingham, who's had massive success for the last 21 years as the head coach for 2 decades. And he goes, "I don't care about the stars. I care, does this guy fit into what we do?" And amen to that. Like, they know who they are, and they know who, fits in, and that's who gets in. And they've been massively successful with that. So, why are we having these polls? Now, tomorrow, the most important poll comes out. The only poll that matters because it's for the college football playoffs. And again, we're still subjective, but it's a little bit more objective than in the past. And quite frankly, I think as this thing continues to, I want to say, evolve or devolve, it depends on how you want to look at it. Because some people go, we want to maintain a central power struggle here. Um, it is now changed, and it is now so much more objective than it was. So fun scenarios, and I'm of the scenario that gets Utah and BYU in the conference championship game to play together because I really believe this rivalry could just blow up. And then I'd love for them to both get in the playoffs because if BYU's undefeated at that point, then and Utah were to win, they'd get the automatic bid. BYU would get in a large bid. And then you play each other again in the playoffs somewhere. Holy cow. Like really. Like and I know all the fans go, "We don't want to do this. We don't." And you're like, "No, you really do. You really do. If you really want to have the best rivalry in all of college football, you got to take it on the chin every once in a while." And right now, Utah's taking it on the chin, and they gotta get off the mat, and they gotta figure a way to punch back. And if both these teams can get off the mat and punch the other one in the mouth, pretty soon you're gonna have a legendary rivalry that is really for the ages. So there's some fun scenarios, and they're gonna play out. And they're not. This isn't pie in the sky stuff either, by the way. This isn't like, I mean, it very possibly can happen. And remember, this is the Big 12, and crazy things do happen. All right, I just want you to know that I hate the Dallas Cowboys, just so you know that. I should have known, and they let me down. I'm still up big on my predictions, but we'll talk about the NFL news and notes. And by the way, our little Utah Jazz, they're 3-4, and they had a nice road win. Listen, it's all about diversifying your portfolio if you want to win in the NBA. We'll talk about that as well when the Down and Dirty continues here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM.
Always, sir. What's up? Oh yeah, I took it out of your ear. No, 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 no. We're here. I was about to put it back in your ear. I take out the commercials out of your ear now. You're welcome. Okay, I'll put it back in your ear. Okay, I'll make sure of it.
All right, it's time to get downer and dirtier on the show. In fact, I'm going to down and dirty the Cowboys. And I should have known this. I should have known this. So I am now 46-11 on the season. Should have been 47-10. But oh no, the old Cowboys got to do it. Now here's the thing. This is what you got to remember. Okay. About picking these teams. There's going to be upsets. There's going to be they're just time, and it's just kind of you got to get your spidey senses up for when those shocking wins are. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you a little down and dirty here. I'll give you some insight. All the teams are good. They're all good. And guess what? Even the sucky teams, they want to compete. They want to compete. They don't know any different, right? Secretariat. So all Secretariat want to do is eat and sleep and run. And Secretariat didn't know any other way. And that's how the NFL is. That's how these professional athletes are wired. I think a lot of these guys have now grown up with their Stanley Cup thermoses of water, and they've been overly coddled by their mother. And so they need some toughening up a little bit, and they need dad to spit in the cup. That's what they need, and not know about it. And that's what they need. But regardless, athletes just what they you just so you know you get out in the game, and you're just like, I'm not just gonna lay down. And here's another insight to you: you can't. That's one of the most beautiful things about the NFL. You cannot hide. You can't be in a position where you're just like, yeah, I'm just out here, because the other guy's gonna just roll you over, and you don't want that. So guess what? When you get out on the field, you fight back. It doesn't matter if you're in a sucky organization. Doesn't matter if you're on a sucky team. You show up and you play every week. And if you don't, um, it will be obvious. Now, there are certain levels of like tempo, right? There's the preseason game tempo. There's the very start of the football season tempo, which I believe game one in the NFL is the most intense time like ever. There's just something about just the opening game, just jitter, boom, everyone's excited, they're gassed, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden you just start running into each other, and then you're like, yeah, well, not so much. But still, it's still really good. And then so you have this tempo. And if you're on a bad team, if you're Miles Garrett, you go into a game and you go, all right, we're gonna test the waters. We're gonna go in full speed because we're gonna get run over if we don't. And if the other team lets us hang in, then we'll keep fighting. We'll keep going. And the longer they let us in the game, the longer they keep us in the game, the longer we keep fighting. And then there's a point where it goes one way or another. And if the team that's supposed to win, the better team, just shows up and just rolls you over from the beginning, you stop fighting probably about the second quarter. Maybe right before halftime, maybe a little bit after halftime. And then you go, nah, you guys you're gonna win. So then it's like you're still playing, but you're still in a high mode. But at that point, you're like, no, it's self-preservation mode. Now, if it's the opposite, and you're like, maybe you're winning, or maybe you're only down by 3 points, or maybe you're only down by a touchdown, and all of a sudden some fluky thing happens, like you get a pick off of a crazy bounce, or you have some guy who's never returned a punt or a kickoff all of a sudden returns one, and now you're tied or you're in the lead, and you just play. And so when you pick these games, you know that scenario is always there. And so a game, there's some games when you just go, and it to me, it's not the bad team, it's the good team. Is the good team going to show up and take care of business? And that's where you say yes. And so that's why it's like Cowboys are the good team, supposedly, but they do have holes, right? They have holes, and the holes are pretty much in the defense. And but then there's another thing you have to factor in with the Cowboys, which I didn't, and this is what I'm mad about myself with. Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones does not want to win. So Jerry Jones goes, "Yeah, okay, we're at home. We're in the spotlight, and I've got to create drama." Well, what better drama to create than to let the freaking Arizona Cardinals beat you at home on Monday Night Football? And why? So he can go out and just be more popular because, and I know this sounds stupid, and a little bit of it is, just so you know. And it's stupid because, well, Jerry Jones is stupid. Like, but that's how he's brilliant. Because Jerry Jones goes, now, what scenario could I have put together where I found my team more talked about on Tuesday? Well, if you lose, because if you win, you're supposed to win. And if you lose, then they can bring up Micah Parsons, and then they can bring up, oh, there go those Cowboys again, and you lost at home on Monday Night Football to the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, I like that right there. That's gonna be juicy drama. And that's what and I did not figure that in. I didn't figure the accent either, by the way. Whew. So you have to look, if you're gonna be a good picker of these games, you gotta drill down, and you gotta get into the personality of the team. And you gotta look for, all those things. In fact, if you talk to the professionals in this, the Vegas people, oh, they know. They know. They drill into this. They know, and they know, and they know. Now I'm just a good old, small town Utah hick from French Lick. Actually, what rhymes? How do I get Springville? I'm the I'm uh the dingle from Springville? Is that? Nah, I don't know. We'll figure that one out. Anyways, but you do. Yeah, I'm just telling you, you have to look for these little things, and I didn't, and I overlooked it, and my bad. I'm sorry. I think Martin, who is my producer, but also a degenerate gambler, I think Martin is actually going to take my advice. We may go and have an experiment in degenerate gambling in the future. Who knows? We'll see. Interesting things though, because all of a sudden, like you go, well, the Bills are a hot mess, and now they're not. People, and you can't buy into all this mid-season baloney about, oh, the Bills are in trouble. It's just like the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh no, I'm just telling you, Rusty Keys. You'll sleep better now when you hear this. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be right in the mix at the end of the year. They just are. So's Buffalo. It's how these seasons roll. It's how they play out. And again, I'm going to go back to what I said in the very beginning of this conversation. These athletes do not know anything different. They just know when they get on the field, they just go play, and they want to win. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And some of them want to win for different reasons, but they all want to win. Some of them want to win because they just want to win, and they just want to they want to be remembered. They want to have a legacy. They want to be in the Hall of Fame. And other guys go, I just want to win because I get more money. And that's really the two motivations. And the ones, well, let me say that again. Everyone's motivated by money. All these players are, and they all think about it. It's always on their mind. The ones about legacy go, yeah, if I have my legacy, I'm gonna get the money anyways. So it's not a forefront on their mind. Other guys are like, I care less about my legacy. I want the money. And so, and I used to say this as a player. I go, if I was ever a coach or I ever owned a team, I would want to identify what's your why. Like that's where I would start. And I would want to understand the why of every player that was in my organization. And if a guy was motivated by money, then I'd motivate him by money. And if a guy was motivated by legacy, I'd motivate him by legacy. And the point is you then have everyone motivated and you have them motivated at the highest possible level that they can be motivated. Therefore, you're going to get the very best out of the people that you are managing. And it's not rocket science. In fact, football is kind of dumb. In fact, I think you have to be kind of dumb to play football. I think you're better off being dumb and playing football. Just so you know, I don't think it's one of those like if you're too smart, you're too much of a threat to everyone. So just be dumb. In fact, that's what I tried to do in my life. I'm not joking about this. I try to be dumb. I try to make people think that I'm dumb, and I'm actually not dumb, but they're like, oh, but you're just a dumb old football player, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's all. I don't know, and I'm just like, come and try to play football and just see how dumb you have to be to play foot. You actually have to be pretty smart. I'm kind of joking about that. A lot smarter than I think people give you credit for. Now, the one thing that I tried to convince people of, and that was that I was slow. Because I'm tall. I'm 6'6", 6'5 3/4" officially by NFL standards. And I wanted people to think, oh yeah, he's just a guy that sits in the pocket. He can't move. Like he's a sitting duck back there. And I'm like, there's two things. One, I'm not slow. Like Tom Brady, five something, 540. Like I would have lapped Tom Brady in the 40-yard dash. It doesn't matter, but just so you know. I mean, Tom Brady's slowest guy on the world and can't function outside of the pocket, and it doesn't matter. But for me, I wanted people to think that I was slow, so I had an advantage. Like and so they thought that, oh, and then they let their guard down and they leave lanes and they just come, hell bent for leather to try to tear your head off because they go, that guy can't move. And it's like, no, it can. All right. Interesting things going on. Um, of course, Dan Quinn said, look, it's my bad. I left Jaden Daniels in the game way too long. And of course, he had a horrendous injury uh, because he was left in the game too long. And I think it goes back to kind of some of this conversation that we're having right here. And the conversation is, when do you surrender in a game? Like, when do you give up? Because, again, going back to what I said, these athletes they don't know when to turn it off, and they just go. And you have to play. Like, you have to give resistance. You have to get effort because the other guys are like, no one told them to, like, you don't get into a part of the game and go, okay, everyone just stop now. Just stop. It's two-hand touch. It's a thud tempo, so you just kind of hit the guy and that's it. Don't be doing games and twists up front. No spin moves. No, no trapping, no double teaming on the defensive lineman. No, it's like they just keep going. They keep playing. And because the league's like, we can't have our Jaden Daniels getting hurt. And there is a time in a game where you go, okay. So calling off the dogs is not saying slow down. It's saying you just get guys out of the game. And it's hard because if you take a person like Frank Reich. So Frank Reich, long-term backup quarterback, Buffalo Bills, had a stint as a starter with Carolina Panthers for a minute. but predominantly was a backup quarterback his career. Amazing individual. And for the longest time, he was on record as the guy who had the largest comeback in a game. I think one of the last regular season games, 1993, 92, and no one told him to quit. And that's the challenge, right? And so, because you never know. I mean, there have been teams that have scored in like a matter of 10 seconds, like 21 points. And so, but more than likely, you know, it doesn't happen. I mean, the probability is extremely low. And so that's why you need your insurance people. That's why Jake from State Farm needs to get involved in NFL games. And he needs to say, it's time to call off the dogs. You're not going to win today. I mean, everyone talks about all these analytics and everything. That's what you should analyze. What is the probability of us winning the game if we're down by 21 points with a quarter and a half to go? Is it doable? What about if it's just a quarter? Where's the demarcation line of get off the field so you preserve yourself for next week? I don't know that there is one. I know someone who does know that, and I'm actually going to talk to him because I think it's a valid point to just say because teams do come back and every game matters, and if you somehow can come back and find a way to win this game, then you should do it. But if you can't, then don't even try. Don't it's a lost cause. You lost today. I'm sure in a battle, in a war, when they decide to retreat, they don't sit there and go, man, we might pull this one out. It's like, no, get your behind out of here or you're dead. All right. Speaking of dead, we're not dead yet, but we're going to take a break. And before we do, I want to ask you something. Do you have an issue with your eyes at all? Because I've had a life-changing experience with weight vision. I really have. I have an eye issue, not any longer, because I had refractive lens correction surgery, very minimally invasive. 15 minutes, I was awake, and the folks at Weight Vision took care of me, and it's awesome. If you have any vision issues, and I think most people do, or will, or to some extent, go check them out. They're incredible. Dr. Wade, fellowship, board certified in refractive lens correction surgery, and he's the best in the business. And it's a very common thing for people to have. And when you have it done, it changes everything. Like it's just I don't have to use reading glasses. I can see. It makes me feel like I'm not getting old. Like I'm finding my youth somewhere. And they provide all different kinds of corrective vision surgeries and procedures. So go check them out. They're right there off of the freeway, Thanksgiving Point, UCCU building, waitevision.com, WAITE vision.com. All right, we come back. Our Jazz, hey, they've got 3 wins on the year so far, and they got one on the road against the Celtics. We're going to talk about that for a bit and maybe some surprise comments. This is the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell, ESPN 791 FM.
Nice job, boss. That was fun. Only mildly? Oh man. We gotta turn up. We gotta turn off the heat, man. You gotta stop eating the mild chicken wings. You gotta test your little flavor level, man. You gotta go up to the hot level, man. We gotta get a little caliente, a little fuego.
while he was on the ground, and they kind of tumbled, and Jalen lost the ball, and the Jazz recovered and scored. It was kind of one of those, I don't know, epic road wins for the Jazz. Certainly a signature win on the early part of this season. So it was certainly a big win. And just I haven't watched the Jazz like deeply, but fringely, because I'm I'm a lifelong fan who is just my patience is gone. Like I just show me the finished product. Like I don't want to witness all this rebuilding stuff for in depth. But it does look like to me that the Jazz are better. And the nucleus of what they have looks like it's respectable. And I do like uh the blend of some veterans in with these younger players, and it seems to be a good fit. And and so the challenge you run into is um like it's all about percentages to me with the Jazz. So if you get more higher picks, the likelihood of either landing on those picks or using those picks to land a player like uh, um, SGA, and it really propels you over the top because there is a combination, and I think the combination's changing a little bit though, and I think it's about if you want to win in the NBA, you have to diversify your portfolio. You can't put all your eggs in a superstar or two in today's NBA and go, yeah, we're going to win. And I think teams. I mean, I think OKC showed that. I think Indiana getting to the final showed that. And I think it's the Joker. You know, um, and I think he actually uh, he actually showed everyone that your superstar is looking to pass and will pass and will be happy to pass if a guy's open. And I think it's foreign to the NBA. Like team basketball, which I think is what made the Celtics great. I actually think it's what made the Lakers great. You might even argue it made Michael Jordan great. When Michael Jordan was scoring 50 points a game, when he was a superstar, I was like, he won winning championships. It's when they found a rebounder in Dennis Rodman, and they found some very competent and consistent role players in Jed Bushler and Steve Kerr and Ron Harper, and then you throw in the dynamic duo of Pippen and Jordan, and you get some play from your big guys. Tony Kukoc comes along. It's the diversification of assets of your investments, so that if your main guy doesn't have his stuff, well, you still are competitive, and you're still going to win a lot of games, and you're still going to be there at the end of the day. And I don't know that the Jazz, maybe they're not too far from that, because it certainly looks like they got longer, they got more athletic. They have some guys that are could really round into being really nice investments. And so I get a sense, or for me, it feels just a little bit like the Jazz are a team that is close to making that. Well, let's pool together some of our resources, and let's do. It's like kids that do trading cards. We're gonna get a bunch of our trading cards together, and we're gonna swap them out for a better deal. And it almost feels like the Jazz might be close to that, because I don't know. I don't know that you go through another year of tanking. I really don't, and I think they're not, because you eventually have to develop your assets, right? Eventually, you've got to water the garden. You gotta prune and hoe and pull out the weeds of what you have and nourish it and let it grow. Put a little Miracle Grow in there. I wonder what Miracle Grow you put into a basketball player. Do you have any idea, Martin? Do you even know what Miracle Grow is, Martin?
Of course I do. And it's the magical stuff that makes the grass grow.
Yeah, it's plant food.
Yeah.
What is plant food for an NBA player? Is it just playing
Uh,
playing time?
I would say so. Like, what was planned food for you? Like, if you, like 24 hours before a football game, what were you eating?
Okay. Um, Don Shula had a steakhouse, right?
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, it's a very nice. It's an upend shishi kind of steakhouse, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah, yeah.
everything's a la carte. So you buy the asparagus and the mashed potatoes, and it's a la carte.
Yeah, you gotta spend
And
three
and you
hundred dollars
and
to
you
have a good night.
right, right. And your steak is like $70 or something like that.
Oof, man.
So I'm not a big fan of the New York strip. I think of the three major cuts. So you have a filet, you have a ribeye, and you have a New York strip, basically, right? And I think the New York strip is like, ugh, probably my least favorite of the three.
Mm. Are you a bone-in type
Too
person?
lean, too dry for me.
Are
That's
you
what it is.
are you a bone-in type person? Do you need that?
Now, I will tell you if I understand, I know good steaks, by the way. If you have a bone in, better flavor. It's been proven. Anything bone in is going to have better flavor to it.
All right.
But my point when we're talking about Miracle Grow, we had our pregame meal and we had steak as part of our pregame meal, even when it was like our pregame meal was at 9 in the morning. And we had New York strips from Shula Steakhouse, and they were phenomenal. And they were phenomenal, and it's because of the choice. It's like the grade of meat. So it's just a high quality meat, and they're different. And at the time, I really go, I can eat a New York strip. It's pretty freaking good. But it was because it was from Shula Steakhouse. So it's all about odds. I think that the NBA is just about building a team, and it's about the better odds you have when you have more draft picks, whether you parlay them or not, or you just find a gem late in the first round and possibly in the second round. And I think you can build a good team. And I really think the Jazz will. I really do over time. Well, guess what, folks? We're out of time right now. We really appreciate you joining in today. It's been a wonderful day today. Hope you've enjoyed the show. I know I sure have. It's your day of rest from football, so
Keep going. You
please
got 2.5 minutes.
use it wisely. So apparently we have more time. Is that what you're telling me, Martin?
Yeah, yeah, you got 2 more minutes. You can keep talking.
Oh, well, I don't really want to talk anymore.
Oh.
You talk now.
You know what? I got a
No, that's
question
enough. I'll
for
finish.
you.
No,
No,
go
no, no,
ahead.
no. I'll interrupt the show. I got a question for you. I put it in the NFL news and notes. We didn't get to it, but do you think Josh Allen is the runaway right now with MVP?
Oh,
Do you think he can win second MVP?
oh,
Because it's always a quarterback driven award. I feel like Jonathan Taylor, though he's not at 1,000 yards yet, he's got 12 rushing touchdowns. I think he deserves to be in the conversation.
yeah. There's no question. There's certainly a resurgence with running backs, and he's a good one. And when you're in a situation where it's so much for a running back that you got to have the right quarterback to kind of mix things in. And I think Daniel Jones is that guy, for a running back to maybe get a few more touches than you normally would. It's one of those things where you go, well, whose hand do you want to take the ball out of? Do you want to take the ball out of Daniel Jones's hand, or do you want to take it out of Jonathan Taylor's hands? And I think the answer is take it out of Daniel Jones. And so all that means is Taylor gets more carries. So you're in Buffalo, and you go, why would we ever want to take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands? And again, it's that percentage thing. The more percentages of him touching the ball just mean he's going to have more production, and the team's going to be better. I learned that from Don Shula, by the way. He just goes, he just wasn't dumb. He goes, why would I want to take the ball out of the Stars' hands? It just that doesn't even make any sense. When the game's on the line, when I need to have it, that guy's going to come through for me. So no, don't do it.
Gotta go.
Good question though. All right, don't take the ball out of my hands, Martin.
I
Let me
won't.
play. We have to go. All right. The Sean O'Connell Show is next. This has been the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here on ESPN 792 on FM. Until then, we'll see you then.
All right, Scott, I'll connect with you in our studio. Give me a minute.